Welcome back, everyone. I'm joined today by Lone Star Pace's very own Glenn Silva, Chief Operating Officer. Very happy to have Glenn on the show today. We're going to be discussing C-Pace Texas growth trends and just where we're at in the local market. Glenn, thank you for coming on and being with us today.
Well, thank you, Olivia, for having me.
Absolutely. So we'll just jump right into it. I mean, this is a really exciting time for CPACE in Texas. I'd love to hear from your vantage point how you would sort of characterize the growth trajectory over the past few years. I know you've been doing this now for five-ish years. So are there any standout trends or patterns that have emerged recently that you've noticed?
Well, CPACE has grown exponentially, not only in Texas, but across the country. I can tell you this, that in 2020, we did one transaction that was to the tune of 6.5 million. It was a apartment complex in Denton County, and then COVID hit. Obviously, the markets reacted accordingly, but since then, we have actually doubled our volume each year to the tune of we closed 186 million last year on 11 projects. So we have seen significant growth.
Yeah, and I would say that's a really good sample study for the state as a whole, because I know each year our volume as a state has gone up in terms of the percentage of the total nationwide. And the
Right.
recent CPACE Alliance data that came out for 2024 showed that we're making up 9% of the
9%.
total pie. Yeah, and I think that's only poised to grow, especially with some recent changes to our guidelines regarding LTV. So what do you think are like the main drivers behind that growth in CPACE?
Well, the biggest driver, I think, when you look at economic growth, we're having in migration. We have a significant amount of people coming to our state. That's the actual gas that's being put in our gas tank. And I think, I really don't see that slowing down anytime soon because we are such a vibrant state in terms of for business development. We're business friendly. We have just a wonderful location, central location in the country, great airport, the third largest airport in the country now, behind Hartsfield and Dubai. So when you look at all the immigration, the activity, and what we have to offer, you're going to continue to see a lot of growth.
Amazing. And so, where do you expect to see that growth? Are there any emerging markets that industry stakeholders should be paying close attention to?
Well, I would say this, that obviously the larger metropolitan regions have always been very active in terms of CPACE transactions.
Mhm.
But what I will say is that's also sort of growing into the secondary or tertiary markets because one, the developers are hearing about it in those markets, but also the actual deals that are occurring are not only isolated to the metropolitan areas, but also in other tertiary or secondary markets. That just increases the footprint of activity for CPACE transactions.
Yeah, it's great to see demand broadening outside of the big metroplexes. So CPACE is obviously a very powerful tool, but it's not without its challenges. Are there any obstacles that are unique to the Texas market?
Well, I don't know if it's unique to the Texas market, but lender consent has always been, I think, the biggest one. And I think we have really started, working on that in terms of we have a growing database of senior lenders that will consent to PACE. I think that what we're seeing in Texas is that due to my comment about the in-migration, we have a tremendous amount of properties that are being built that, at the end of the day, all this in-migration, they're not bringing, I tell people, all these people are not bringing energy or water with them. And that's huge from the standpoint of we've got to figure out how we can develop these buildings that incorporate sustainability because that's what it's really about. I mean, yes, economic development, but sustainability, especially for Texas, with all this huge um, growth occurring. We just need to be smarter about how we utilize our resources.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's like our rose is also our thorn. We love all the growth and development, but we have to be able to manage it. And so
That's right.
reservation
Yeah.
is huge. So talk a little bit about, we are a huge state. There is so much diversity in terms of the geographics of Texas. How do local government dynamics and economic conditions influence the deployment of CPACE in an urban versus a rural community?
That's a great question, Olivia. And I'll tell you, okay, there's 254 counties in Texas. And you have to understand that the cities and counties have to adopt PACE because they're the ones that place the assessment on the property. So each individual county and or city, the cities can adopt it, but what we try to go for is the county because we'll get the entire footprint of all the cities within that jurisdiction. So we look for the counties, but if a city wants to be opted in specifically, and I'll give an example. We have recently a transaction that is specific to the city of Huntsville, and the city is going to actually opt in because the relationship that the sponsor has is directly with the city. And that's another thing. When we get opted in, we really try to we work on relationships, and that's what's key, I think, with this program in anything else, really, in commercial real estate and whatever you do. Relationships are key in that if we have a developer or sponsor that has those key relationships, either on the county or city level, we try to go in and to the city and county and say, hey, by the way, your developer wants to build XYZ. And that really helps the adoption of PACE to go move forward within that jurisdiction.
Yeah, having that local champion is huge. So let's wrap it up by looking into the future. What's your crystal ball prediction for the biggest opportunities for growth or innovation within the Texas CPACE ecosystem? Are there any untapped applications or partnerships that could expand reach and impact?
Well, I think that in terms of the future or what's around the corner, I think my background is within the commercial mortgage-backed security market. I think the CMBS industry in the past has said basically no to CPACE. I think that that's going to change. I think that it's going to provide another source of opportunity for transactions to get done via the conduit lending portal. So I see that as the biggest opportunity coming up around the corner.
That's amazing. Yes, we're always looking for new demand drivers, and that could definitely be an exciting one. So, Glenn, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Such a pleasure to have you. You
Well,
might be
thank
my
you.
favorite guest just because, you're from
All
the
right.
so um everyone, if you would like to reach out to Glenn with any questions, I will have his email in the closing slide. And as always, if you guys have a project that you think could be a good fit for CPACE in Texas, please reach out to us. We would be more than happy to help. Thanks so much, Glenn.
Thank you.